Greetings everyone, welcome back. It's Jeremy Sutton from PrecisionPrinciple.com, and today we have reached the halfway mark of the class. We are on day 15 and it's been a good run so far. Personally, I feel myself getting stronger. I've been tired, of course, throughout much of this course. Intensive Ashtanga yoga is a whole new regimen. For me, it takes my previous training to the next level. In the first week, I really felt my body being broken down, being tired. I woke up in the morning, 5 o'clock each day, and just feeling pretty tired. Now, after 2 weeks, I've noticed I have a lot more energy. Apart from this intensive yoga class, where I am staying right now, where we are staying, is at the bottom of a hill with about 150 to 200 stairs. So we're walking this huge staircase up and down. It's very mountainous all around us, and it's beautiful. There are some amazing views. I couldn't be happier with the view we have from right here. But at the same time, it's been a tiring experience with walking the stairs every day, doubling up on the yoga sessions, going to 3 to 5 hours of class each day, and it's been quite a journey. So here we are, and in our anatomy and physiology classes, we yesterday focused on the digestive tract. Previously, if you'll remember, we talked about the 11 different organ systems, and one of the most important is, of course, the digestive system. Now, before we get too far into this, I would highly recommend for anybody who's interested in nutrition in general to check out either the Great Courses. There's a course on nutrition by a company called The Great Courses, and it gives the fundamentals of diet and nutrition, about what are all the major overview of all the different parts of nutrition, macros and micros, and gives a good idea about how much and what we should be eating. And if you have any specific dietary concerns, you should definitely talk to someone who's more informed than me. Talk to your doctor, talk to a registered dietitian, pick up a book, get some more information elsewhere. I like the Great Courses, the overview on nutrition, and also Jonathan Baylor, I think is his name, The Calorie Myth. These are two good places to start your inquiry about nutrition, health, and that jazz. That being said, let's get into the digestive tract. Now, it's important to remember here, digestive tract starts with the mouth. Our saliva has enzymes that immediately start the digestive process. There's the physical crunching of food, which is part of the digestion, and then also the chemical changes that isolate the different nutrients and allow them to be absorbed later down as we do the system. So we've got the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, and apparently about 50% or more of digestion happens in the stomach. Then going to the small intestine, which is a very long, 20-some feet long intestinal tract. But narrow, which is why the small intestine. Then the large intestine, or the colon, is a much shorter bit that I'm not sure its function quite yet, but then that takes us to the anus, where food is then released. Now, let's get into it. How does this digestion tract relate to yoga in particular is something we're talking about. And also, what can we do to improve digestion? So these are two kind of questions that are guiding our exploration of the digestive tract. So, notably, we might take a look at how much of our guts are just kind of folded up and wrinkled together all in the bottom of our belly, right? It's the part of our body with the least bones. We have at the bottom of our spine, we have our legs and hips from here down. We have our rib cage and our shoulders from here up, and in the center we have just this one thin spine, right? The spine is at the bottom, is just totally exposed in our lower back, right? So it's a very important part of our body to keep strong. And it's important to note that in our regular day-to-day life, we basically have 3 major positions that we find ourselves in: standing, sitting, and laying down. These 3 postures, they transcend the socioeconomic gaps. Every person alive, rich, poor, sick or healthy, has to stand, sit, and lay down if they are reasonably healthy and not paralyzed in some manner. So these are the 3 main positions that we're in, and we might say that that's pretty limited, considering the wide range of possibilities of the human body. Those three positions are quite limited. So what are the consequences of these limited positions? And in particular, one of these consequences is that our guts can basically get stuck in a position, right? They kind of get used to they fall into a position and they can just sort of stay there often. And this, following the yogic tradition and the yogic physiology and anatomy, this has negative consequences on our digestion. Or that is to say that our digestion, at the very least, can be improved by moving that area of our body around, right? So, specifically in the yogic practices, there are some different movements and techniques that help move our midsection around, and hopefully in this movement we increase digestion by getting the muscles and the organs unstuck from there, sometime with the spots that they can kind of sink into, right? Previously I took another intensive yoga class, and it was described to me that, and you know, this is just my word coming from someone else's opinion. I don't know if this has been researched empirically and scientifically, so take this with a grain of salt. But it was pointed out that the small intestine has many little kinks and curves and small little crevices and that go all the way around, right? 20-some feet long. So in all of these kinks and curves, there are a lot of places for gunk to basically build up, a lot of places for food to get stuck, for things to stop moving around. And this is where we can basically house diseases and problems, right? So one argument is made that by doing these different yogic postures, and especially back bends, forward bends, and spinal twists, we do all these things, and we're sort of moving our guts around, getting them loose and mobile. And by doing that, we're essentially helping the food that might get stuck in the crevices to move itself along the track. Historically, because only such a limited part of a yoga practice is based on the asanas, the body postures, there have been a number of unusual, I'm not sure what to call them, maybe naturopathic remedies to sort of clean out the different areas of our body. I won't go into too much detail, but some of the practices have included finding ponds, trying to suck water up through the rectum and into the colon and kind of shake it around, a sort of Stone Age, colonic irrigation. I'm not sure how often this is practiced anymore. There's other things that people do to take in foods, and then drink a bunch of salt water to throw up and basically try to keep these pipes clean. I think there's a number of practices encouraging diarrhea to sort of get it all out to keep this track pristine. And I don't really know, I can't vouch for the health benefits of this. I think you should definitely talk to a doctor before doing anything that forces the body to go into a situation that it's not used to. I've talked to someone recently who said he was doing a cleansing process where he was in the process asked to drink gallons of milk and then followed by gallons of salt water, basically force feeding himself these liquids. He said that every organ in his body hurt, and you have to throw up again and again. And in part of this situation, the shaman doctor there, I don't know what kind of qualifications he has, looks at your regurgitation and says, "Oh, do you see this black stuff over here? That's the carcinogenic toxins from this one part of your body, and this is something else." And I don't know about all of that. That is pretty scary to me. Anytime you're forcing your body to do something that's so against its natural causes, it should throw up a red flag. I'm all about open-minded interrogation, but I like a skeptical interrogation as well. Ask questions. Don't take things for granted, because people will claim to have a lot more information than they necessarily have. So don't believe anything unless it seems to actually ring true in your own experience. And even then, we can't even trust our own perceptions. If you have any doubts about this, I would recommend two great works. One by the Nobel-winning Daniel Kahneman. He's a psychologist, famous for his writings on basically thinking fast and slow is the name of the book, and I won't go into it, but that's detailing some of the ways that we make decisions and how we can deceive ourselves. and the great courses, Your Deceptive Mind. These two courses are from these two texts. The great courses is an audio lecture series, are phenomenal in pointing out the myriad of ways that our mind can play tricks on us. So don't necessarily believe information other people tell you, including what I'm telling you right now. Don't necessarily believe your own intuitions unless it really rings true in a profound way and you can really kind of rest your hat on it. And even then, it's not a bad idea to have some skeptical doubt so that we don't set ourselves up for failure. So, that being said, let's keep getting into this digestive tract. Now, so basically, the yogic argument is that yoga is good for digestion because you're moving your body, inverting your body, getting things flowing in a different sort of manner, and this can promote digestive health as well as another number of other physiological processes that we'll probably get into later. So, what is an optimal diet, right? Now, this is a very sensitive subject for a lot of people, and I am not in any way telling you what to eat. I simply want to communicate the information that was passed to me by Dr. Amrita yesterday. And it is argued in the yogic tradition that a mostly vegetarian diet is healthy for or is helpful in the purposes of self-realization. That is, if we recall, the purpose of yoga is to reach enlightenment, to overcome our ignorance and to have a full realization of ourself. And in particular, this means overcoming, transcending the small self, and identifying with the higher parts of our psyche. Considering things like sattva, the white energy of the three gunas, if you recall, we need to be moving more towards a sattvic orientation, which is light, pure, clear consciousness, knowledge, and pleasure are all part of this sattvic orientation, moving towards sattva. And so this yogic diet is often called a sattvic diet, and that is primarily a myriad of vegetables and fruits, rices and grains. Make sure you get your proteins from beans and legumes and nuts and all this jazz. It's been recommended in the Great Courses course on nutrition that you should eat a rainbow diet, many different colorful fruits and vegetables as a way to promote health and well-being in your body. That's not only because of the vitamins that are available in different colored fruits and vegetables, but also because of phytochemicals, which are the colorful chemicals, the things that make an orange orange, the things that make a tomato red. These chemicals also have a lot of nutritional value, and your body seems to be using them to maintain health. So that is also important to remember. But for the yogic diet, one of the reasons that they recommend fruits and vegetables is that light food like this is digested a lot more quickly than heavy meats, eggs, and other really heavy fats. These sort of heavier materials, fats and proteins, take longer to digest. And so they sort of put our body into a sluggish digestive process, right? And so this sluggishness, that kind of makes us tired, and this tiredness is the opposite of sattva. In fact, it's tamas, it's the black energy, it's the lethargic energy, it's the apathetic, downward moving energy, right? So we want to have high energy foods, high prana foods, foods that keep us light and moving. I have never actually been a vegetarian myself, and I have been eating primarily vegetarian food while I've been here, but I've also noticed that I have been working my body very hard, and I've been finding it difficult to find adequate protein. So this is maybe it's an excuse. I admit that it might be an excuse here, but it's also a little bit reality. If you're not eating meat and you're in a place like I am right now, there's not a lot of sources of proteins. There are eggs, but even eggs are not easy to come by all the time to get a diverse source of full proteins. So, excuses aside, yogic diet, primarily vegetarian, maybe some fish, but light, keep it light so you get your body light, you get your head light, you digest food quickly, you don't bind up your guts, and you don't, it takes about 1.5 to 2 hours to digest this sort of light foods, which makes it easier to do yoga, keeps your mind light, and that's why it's recommended. Now, let's go into the macros of diet, right? The big three here. When it comes to foods, we have 3 major areas, and you'll notice this from any food label that you've ever looked at. The first one will go in order of the speed of digestion. So the first one is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are things like sugars. They are things like grains found in rice, actually vegetables. Rice is a higher concentration of carbohydrates. They're complex carbohydrates, and starches, for example, potatoes are chains of carbohydrates. So when there's a lot of carbohydrates in potatoes, so you eat a potato, your body, first thing it does is it changes the starch into, which is a chain of carbohydrates, into its simpler carbohydrates. And so basically these carbohydrates, like potatoes, can spike your blood sugar quickly. If you don't know what all that means, don't worry about it. Check out the great courses on nutrition, great information there. Check out Jonathan Baylor, The Calorie Myth, about how some of the fundamentals of this process work. Great source of information. So we have carbohydrates. We have simple carbohydrates like simple sugars, white table sugar, for example, and we have complex carbohydrates like glucose. And this is these are the fuel for your brain, fuel for when glucose is turned into glycogen. This is the source of energy for your muscles. And carbohydrates are broken down quickly and are the fastest source of energy. So they quickly go from your stomach to broken down to into your bloodstream, which is why they can spike your blood sugar. And this blood sugar can be good if you're, for example, trying to do intensive exercise and trying to get energy quickly. But if we spike our blood sugar, make our energy go way up, and then don't use that energy, then our body is producing insulin, and that insulin basically takes that energy and it tries to use the energy right now. It takes some of it to heal our body if necessary, and then whatever's left over, it says, well, let's store that away. So the insulin goes and stores that as fat. People try to avoid blood sugar spikes because when your blood sugar spikes, then your body reacts with insulin spike. Your insulin puts all that and stores things as fat, and then you get an insulin dump, which is that's why you eat a candy bar, boom, you get the energy for a minute, and then a little bit later you start to feel pretty sluggish. It's all kind of part of this carbohydrate cycle. Those are carbohydrates, all right? Next, we have proteins. Proteins are the building blocks of your body, right? This is like what your muscles, what your organs are made of. Proteins from a biological standpoint are very interesting. They're some of the most complex, maybe the most complex molecules that we have in our body. Proteins are made up of amino acids. Amino acids, I think there's 9 amino acids. Don't quote me on that. And these are the fundamental building blocks that go into everything else. So protein, a complete protein has all of the amino acids, and I think it's 9. And so a complete protein, like found in milk often, or meats and eggs, will be broken down into the different types of proteins and then brought to the appropriate part of the body to do its work. So, interesting enough, both carbohydrates and proteins have about 4 calories per gram. All right. Then we have fats. Right. So we have carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are the macros of a diet. There are different types of fats, but generally speaking, fats are the slowest digesting foods. Right. So that's why if we eat a really fatty diet, we feel sluggish. It takes a long time for our body to process this food. And that is a problem if you are going to be trying to attain enlightenment, because instead of feeling light and sattvic and clear, we're going to feel slow and tamic and lethargic. Right, so this is all an impediment to enlightenment. And it might be an impediment to creativity, it might be an impediment to a number of things. So just important to note that there are different types of fat. We haven't really talked about this in class, but definitely you should learn more about this area if you don't know already, because this food is basically, the building blocks of what we're made of. It's the fuel that goes into us. It's what makes us who we are. It actually becomes us, right? So this is actually a pretty essential piece to this whole puzzle. This puzzle of how do we thrive, how do we achieve mastery, how do we achieve, peak experiences and becoming our best self. Food is integral. It's one of the foundational pieces to this puzzle, all right? So we have the big 3. Next, couple quick things. We got vitamins and minerals, and there are a number of vitamins and minerals. I won't go into all these right now. This is just a big overview. There's a bunch of different vitamins and minerals. Our body uses these to do specific functions in the cells at the cellular level and at the organ level, different functions, and we won't get into that now. if you want to know more, check out the great courses on nutrition. There is a lecture on every single vitamin, on every single mineral, on every single bit of the carbohydrates and fats, and in that program it goes over recommended amounts for each of these, and it's given to the woman who does that course is the nutritionist for the Houston Texans, which is an NFL football team in America. If you're not from America, if you are from America, I'm sure you already know that. And point is, she knows her stuff, and it's a good overview of the information. So that is all for today. If there is a one takeaway from all this, it would be that eat healthy, and that means eat easily digestible diet, primarily of fruits and vegetables. These should be, if vegetables aren't already like 50% of your diet, then if you make that switch, you'll notice huge changes. It's unavoidable. If you start eating colorful vegetables up to 50 or 60% of your diet, make sure that there's vegetables in your food 3 meals a day, including breakfast. There's no way this won't benefit you. It's just a fact. Reduce sugars, reduce simple sugars, try to reduce fats, especially the bad fats. Trans fats are the worst. And yeah, make sure you're eating enough protein. How much protein? That's arguable. In the nutrition, great courses, course of nutrition, it's recommended about 0.7 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. All right, so I'll let you do the math on that. That's 0.7 times each kilo of your body weight. So that's just to kind of maintain health. It can be up to 1 gram per kilo, up to, if you're really working out hard in strength training, it could be a little bit more than that. You got to play with this one for yourself. Look farther into it if you're trying to build muscle, trying to build strength. This has got to be a personal exploration. There's no general advice with diet that's going to apply to everybody. Everyone's body is different. Everybody's diet is different depending on the region where they live. Some people naturally get enough protein. Some people naturally don't get enough protein. Some people are vitamin deficient. Some people have access to organic vegetables of all the varieties and can eat the best food all the time. But regardless of where you are in the world, do invest in your nutrition, because this is a fundamental part of your well-being. If you have a healthy body with all the stuff that you need, it's going to make you feel better. You're going to have a better state of well-being. You're going to have a healthy body. You're not going to be impeded in all your progress. The fastest way to undermine your progress is just to get sick, right? If you get sick, unhealthy, injured, this was the first of the obstacles back several days ago when we talked about Patanjali's 9 obstacles in yoga. The very first one was injury and illness. So how do we avoid injury and illness? Well, a healthy diet is not the cure-all, but it is a good place to start. So invest in your health, invest in your nutrition, make sure you're getting a wide range of colorful fruits and vegetables. And if you do this, you're going to notice a change. If you're not already there and you make that change, just notice how much more energy you're going to have, how much more vitality you're going to have, and how it's also a good place to start your discipline if you haven't really thought about it previously. Because we have at least 3 chances every day to eat, right? Some of us are eating more than that. So if we can start to develop precision in this area of our life, then we start to just increase our awareness about a whole number of things. And in this process, we can basically create the fundamentals of the discipline that we need to attain all of the higher and more complex and more sophisticated goals that take even more work, right? But we can't reach up unless we got our feet on the ground, right? Try to pick your feet up and try to jump, but you can't do it. So, point is, take care of yourself. And that's what this is all about, and this is just one piece of that whole puzzle. So, thank you for joining me. Sorry I got a little bit longer today, but if you're interested, check out more at precisionprinciple.com. You will find a free ebook on the 7 foundational habits to a life of thriving, to a life of mastery. And right there at the beginning, nutrition is one of those things. There are more resources available there. I have some access to other links where you can find find people who are much more educated than I am about this subject, and hopefully you can hold a lock on this part of your life, because you will have excellent results. So in the meantime, thank you for joining me. Keep learning, keep growing, and have a great day.